against a homeowner that in the middle of the night protected his family with a firearm against a criminal. Even Hillary said he couldn't be trusted with the Second Amendment. Remember that in Pennsylvania? All those Hillary Clinton fires? But it all went unreported in most of the media as the Obama campaign saturated Ohio, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Missouri, the whole heartland of this nation with pro-Second Amendment promises. They looked, and I'll tell you, this is important to me as a citizen because this is stuff I just shake my head at. They looked hardworking men and women in the eye, and they gave them this solemn vow. I support the Second Amendment. Promise. Straight in the eye. That's what the campaign told him. Then you know what happens. He gets elected. A lot of those people believe those promises. And he proceeds to stack his cabinet with elites whose views on guns and hunting couldn't be more opposed to those hard-working men and women. I want you right now to meet one example. Cass Sunstein is the guy that President Obama wants to set regulatory policy across every aspect of the federal government. But let me tell you what they're not telling you. Sunstein is a radical animal rights extremist who makes PETA look like cheerleaders with pooper scoopers. Listen, believe me, listen to this. Sunstein says hunting is as immoral as mass extermination of human beings. See for yourself from his own words.
In the long run, if this is correct, our willingness to subject animals to unjustified suffering will be seen, as Bentham and Mill thought, as a form of unconscionable barbarity, not the same as, but in many ways morally akin to, slavery and the mass extermination of human beings.
Mass extermination of human beings. I mean, look, this is the man President Obama wants to put in charge, a man who wants to give legal standing to animals so they can sue you for eating meat. Watch the video.
First step one, how about actually enforcing the anti-cruelty laws? Gaps include science, where investigators are typically exempted from the anti-cruelty laws, hunting, where hunters are almost always excluded from the anti-cruelty laws, and the use of animals for food.
I mean, I couldn't make this up. I mean, Sunstein wants to make us all vegetarians by packaging meat products with vivid pictures of how the animal was processed. Remember again, this is a guy with the power to set policy that will guide your life. And he says, if you want to eat sausage, you're going to have to watch how sausage is made. Listen carefully.
Disclosure of our practices in a way that would be accessible and vivid would be a way of trying to align our practices with our beliefs and encourage public discussion of practices that would not be acceptable if only they were witnessed.
I mean, did you hear that? Ban all practices that would not be acceptable if only they were witnessed. Well, I mean, if that's true, you and I wouldn't be here because human conception and birth can be very hard to witness. I mean, I hope America's listening to this stuff because they need to know. I mean, Sunstein is just one example of a super elite among dozens that President Obama has picked for his administration. And he didn't reach across the aisle. He reached across time to pick old Beltway insiders from the Clinton administration. Eric Holder was Bill Clinton's anti-gun point man. He now runs Obama's Department of Justice. President Clinton's top anti-gun attack dog was Rahm Emanuel. Now he's President Obama's chief of staff. Joe Biden's record makes him the most anti-Second Amendment vice president in American history. And we all know Hillary Clinton's anti-gun record, or do we? Because we better. Because right now the United Nations global gun ban needs America to cooperate with them. And the timing's perfect. Remember Rebecca Peters? We've talked about her before. She led Australia's gun ban confiscations. Now she's the ringleader for the United Nations Global Gun Ban Treaty. When I debated her, I asked her whose guns the UN really wants. Watch the video.
We want to see a drastic reduction in gun ownership across the world, yes. We want to see much lower proliferation of guns among the civilian population. Times change. I know that pistol shooting used to be a sport that was allowed in the UK, and it no longer is. I'm sad for you. I suppose if you miss your sport, take up another sport.
You know, they've tried to stuff that down our throats for years, but we had John Bolton at the United Nations. You know, I feel the same way. You talk about a tough diplomat with guts. Bolton told the UN to go shove it in no uncertain terms. He said that America will never dumb down our Second Amendment freedom to their global UN standard of no freedom. But now, things are different. A global gun ban treaty needs a sympathetic White House, Congress, and State Department. Sounds like they got 2 out of 3. So let's look at the position of our elite Secretary of State. And this is from just this year, this clip I'm going to show you. Watch this clip.
Well, I support the licensing of all guns, not just handguns. License handgun owners, all handguns licensed, register handguns, at least try to license all new guns. We need trigger locks. I do not think we should be licensing cars when we won't license guns. We have ballistic fingerprinting and smart guns. I think we ought to do more to keep track of the more than 200 million guns we already have in the country. Ask people to bring all their guns out, and you'd count them and you'd register them. We ought to limit handgun purchases to 1 a month. I'd like to see much stricter gun control measures. We ought to raise the age for purchasing a handgun. We do need more legislation, and I will fight for all of those.
I mean, that was from just last year. And while she fights for all of those, if you think the Heller decision is going to stop her in her tracks, we all need to think again. Because the elites are already using our victory in that case to their advantage. You'll see how in these clips from Hardball with Chris Matthews and Paul Helmke, the gun ban movement's top guy. Strategy number 1, you'll see. The Supreme Court just gave us a brand new right. But you know what? That new right needs lots of brand new regulations. You'll never hear a word about prosecuting bad guys, criminals, taking them off the streets. It's all about more laws on the good guys. Watch how Paul Helmke goes gaga for more gun laws.
The problem here is we make it too easy for dangerous people to get guns. We have too